Chernobyl, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island. These are all places you're probably familiar with because of their major nuclear catastrophes in the past. However, nuclear energy is so much more than these three events. The plants in these cities were built respectively in 1972, 1971, and 1968. Think about the technology from the 60s and 70s. Not only is it extremely obsolete, we've also had a technological revolution in the past 2 centuries, and nuclear technology has also come a long way. The state of California has been one of the most anti-nuclear states up until recently. Environmentally conscious people, such as myself, are becoming more aware of the benefits of nuclear energy, including the tiny footprint of land that it needs, and most importantly, the fact that it's carbon-free. We all live near a nuclear power plant here in Southern California called Diablo Canyon. It's on the coast of the I-5, and it looks like 2 mountains on the side of the road heading up to Los Angeles. It was supposed to be decommissioned, but Governor Gavin Newsom decided to keep it open till at least 2029. An article from NPR claims that MIT and Stanford did a study, and with this plant being open, emissions will be cut by 10%, and the state could save $2.5 billion in electricity, which will help us avoid those pesky rolling blackouts. Nuclear energy is a pretty simple concept. You heat up water to create steam. The steam turns a turbine, which creates electricity. However, instead of burning coal, gas, or fuel, you're using a process called nuclear fusion, which either breaks apart or brings together 2 atoms, which causes a lot of heat. In fact, just 1 small gram of nuclear fuel can generate about the same amount of energy as 8 tons of oil. That's 16,000 pounds of oil. The only fossil fuels produced from nuclear energy come from building and maintaining the plant, which is about the same amount that it takes to build and store solar arrays, and we all love solar. It's also the most efficient type of energy, coming in at 92%, much better than coal at 54%, natural gas at 55%, solar and wind at approximately 27%. This is because you're not always burning fuel, the sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. Chernobyl actually only had about 30 initial deaths from the blast of the nuclear reactor. Fukushima about 40 initial deaths, and 3 Mile Island had 0 initial deaths. But as we know, there is always a lot of long-lasting health effects from the radiation of these events. But the one thing that no one talks about is the long-lasting health effects from the pollution from coal and gas plants. When coal and oil are burned, it releases something called sulfur dioxide, which gives people asthma, bronchitis, heart disease, and goes up into the air to cause acid rain, which then falls down, ruins our crops, corrodes metal, and makes us sick. 90% of our greenhouse emissions come in some way or form from the fossil fuel industry. However, 60% of our energy is still being produced by these deadly fossil fuels. These are the stats that the highly paid lobbyists don't want you to know from the fossil fuel industry. Ukraine, which has 15 nuclear sites and gets half of its country's energy production from nuclear, has recently showed us with the war against Russia that they don't want to rely on Russian oil. Both Germany and Japan in the past year have decided to open new old plants and maybe even new ones in the near future. With the creation of any energy source, there's going to be waste, and this is a big argument against nuclear. According to the Yale School of Environment, current nuclear is kept in impenetrable steel and concrete casts at the reactor sites. However, due to today's updated technology, 90% of this used fuel can be recycled and used again to extend the production of the reactor for hundreds of years. Yale also explains that Finland has one of the most advanced repositories for any kind of deadly waste, keeping it 400 meters under granite bedrock, and they're going to start accepting waste to be stored there next year. In the 16th century, when humans went from wood burning to burning coal, it was demonized. It was actually called the devil's excrement because it was dirty, smelly, and came from the centers of the earth. It's now a half a millennium later, and we are still using coal in the United States of America. The fossil fuel industry, which makes massive amounts of money, does not want you to know how effective and reliable nuclear energy can be. They want to use these 3 bad events to keep you scared of nuclear energy while they pump the rivers, streams, and air full of pollution. Not to mention, some people predict that we will run out of fuel this century. That means your kids or grandkids may not have gas or coal to burn for energy anymore. And if we don't shift to nuclear in the next 100 years, these other countries are going to leave us behind.